All right, so let's get right into it. This here is the new Micro 2 Plus slider from Zeapon, and this is the new motor module to go with it. Just to knock it out right away, the manual slider, if you want to buy just the manual version here, is $259, and if you want to buy the motor separately and then add it on later, it's $259. But you can buy these in a kit with the motor already attached, and that will be $445, which is a savings of about $60. And of course you can remove that motor and then still use it manually. But if you want to do that, you do need to buy the belt to replace the motor separately, which is an additional $10. Now I wish that that was just included with the motorized version from the start, but even with that additional $10, it's still a $50 savings over buying these separately. So I definitely recommend you buy the motorized version and the extra belt from the start, because this is a great motor. It's strong, which we'll talk about in a second, and it's very simple and easy to use. Of course you have an app, but the physical controls on here are incredibly simple, but also incredibly useful. And also the slider by itself manually is an incredible slider. You've got that kind of fluid damping in there that makes it really easy to get smooth and consistent manual movement, way more than any other manual slider that I've used. And also because it's compact, but it has that design where the whole slider rail moves together with the track in the center. Even though this is only about 30 to 40 centimeters, depending on whether or not you're using the motor, you get over 50 centimeters of actual camera travel. So it's very compact and portable, yet you're still getting a good, reasonable amount of movement out of this. And again, the motorized version is incredibly powerful, simple and easy and quick to use, which I love. It's really hassle-free, but also the manual version is just butter smooth, which I love. So if you get that motorized version from the start, you really have the best of both worlds, and you're going to save money than buying them separately. Anyway, the slider itself and the motor are both very similar to the original versions, with a few small but key differences. So we're going to go through those now. Of course, the headline feature here is that the motor can now be attached or removed very quickly. As you can see, I did it in under 30 seconds. It's not to say you're going to be able to do it in under 30 seconds every single time, but it is possible, as you can see from the opening of this video. And there's a couple reasons why that's great. The first reason is because the original version, you could buy the manual slider and then add on the motor afterwards, but you needed little tiny screws, you needed a screwdriver. It was a little bit tedious and not necessarily difficult, but it was absolutely not something you would want to do often. It was not recommended to attach and remove that motor. And even if you wanted to, it's not something I'd want to do in the field, because you would definitely be very likely to lose those little screws that you had to use to attach it. And why you would want to do that is because when they made this motor, they had the choice basically to make it either very strong, which they did. This can lift 4.5 kilograms in any direction, which is very strong for the size. Or they could have made it so you can take manual control of the slider even when the power is off in the motor. But they decided to go with powerful route, and I think that was a good choice. The drawback of that, of course, is that if the battery dies, or if you don't have a battery, you can't take physical control of the slider when the motor is still attached. So you would have had to remove it if you wanted to do that in that situation. Not ideal. But now this new motor doesn't have any little screws required to attach it or remove it. The top side has a kind of magnetic hook that will kind of snap in under this center block and then kind of latch on, so that way it doesn't come off. And on the bottom there is a screw, but it attaches with a nice big and easy to use thumb screw. So there's no tools required. There's no little screws that you're going to lose. If you want to do this in the field, not a problem whatsoever. If you forget your batteries, if your batteries die, or even if you just want to take manual control for a couple of shots, very easy, pretty hassle-free, and pretty quick to do. And since this slider really shines both with and without the motor, I think that is a huge deal not to be overlooked, evident by the fact that I'm talking about it so much in this video. But there are some other little upgrades here and there as well. On the motor, we now have a battery plate that has a little button to lock the battery. So before it was a friction-based NPF style battery plate where it was a little bit awkward sometimes where you're not sure if the battery is all the way in or not. Maybe some people had problems with it falling out. I didn't. But now you've got that lock button in there, so it will snap in confidently. And then when you want to remove it, just push the little lock button on the bottom there and it will come out easily. Very, very simple, easy, and fast to use. It's a small upgrade, but it is definitely a nice one. On the slider itself, we used to have these little pinch locks in the center that would kind of lock into some little holes on that center block there. So you could lock it in place only in the center, which was sometimes a little bit annoying if you're in the middle of using it and you want to pack it away quickly. But now the lock has been moved to the end of the rail here and it locks onto the actual belt, not to that center block. So the benefit of that is that no matter where it is, you can just quickly lock it and then throw it in your bag and it's not going to move. And it still seems very strong and secure. So even if you have this tilted on a tripod with a camera on there and you want to lock it in place, it should be strong enough. No worries whatsoever. Unlock it and you're good to go again and again, any position, not only the center. So very quick and easy. Again, small upgrade that I didn't know I needed, but now that it's there, it is nice to have. A very nice upgrade though is that the bottom plate on here used to have a separate unit that you could screw onto the bottom to get these little extending legs to use this on flat ground or a tabletop. Now it's built into the body of the slider. Again, a few reasons that that's really a good thing. One is that now it is very low profile, and what that means is that when you extend these legs here and put it on the ground, because it's low profile, it's less awkward when you have your camera slid out to one end or the other, and it's gonna hold steady a lot more. Before, because it was a lot taller and this wasn't all built into one unit, I did find that as you slid out to the end of the track, it would tip with the weight of the camera very easily. Obviously, you're still going to have limitations here, but this seems much more solid in that respect. So you can use it a lot more freely, a lot more easily on flat ground, which is really, really nice. And that's thanks to being built into the slider itself and also to being so low profile compared to before. Of course, it also means that it's not something you have to buy separately, which is a good thing. And you do have these screw threads on the bottom here. You've got a 3/8 inch screw in the center, some 1/4-20s around it in different positions. So if you're putting this onto a tripod, you can use 2 screws in your tripod plate to get it nice and secure. It's not going to twist loose. Always a good thing. Again, base itself is built into the slider, so no worries about it twisting loose there. So you don't have those double points of possible failure that you did have with the original version. Very, very nice. The legs themselves do have these little rubberized ball feet on here, and of course you can unscrew them a little bit to compensate for uneven ground. This is really, really smooth, really, really streamlined. I really like all of the upgrades. The base plate, the center block is a little bit different from before. The lock, the motor, everything on here, streamlined, smooth, just really, really nice. It feels very premium. And I originally loved the original version. I've been using it for a couple of years very heavily, both motorized and not motorized. The Micro 2, the 600, the 800, all great sliders. This small compact size is so convenient though, and I'm really happy to see that they really polished out all the little imperfections in this, and they really made it into an incredible, more incredible than before, which was already incredible, just remarkable little slider. I'm not being paid to say this, I promise you. I have been using my Micro 2 slider for years, happily. It is a solid slider, and the only downside that I see to it is that they still haven't come out with the pan and tilt modules. It should be soon, and they did upgrade the app together with this, the wireless app, but I'm not going to make a video about that yet. I want to wait for those pan and tilt modules to come out so I can show you that app with its full potential. So hurry up, Zeapon, come on, give me those modules and we'll go through the new app, and we'll also show you how those modules will really, really bring this to the most well-rounded, high quality, good value, compact, but very useful slider on the market. For now, as always, if you have any questions, please do let me know down below and I will do my best to get back to you. Otherwise, if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, sharing, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. I said liking twice, but you get the idea. As always, thank you for watching.